Hi, Chris Myerchin here, and today we're going to go through the process of fishing a new cable through a Zoot Pro arm. Now, we have some older videos out there where I use something like this, which is a long wooden stick with a hook on the end of it. This technique is being abandoned mainly because the shipping cost for this wooden stick is frequently higher than purchasing a new cable. So, old technique, new technique is using just a steel wire that's fished through the arm that has a little loop on the end for hooking onto the cable. This is generally about the same size as the cables that are shipped to go through the arm, so no additional shipping costs. So a big bonus for this technique, and it happens to be a little easier. So we'll only be showing this new technique using the steel wire to fish it through. So let's pull the camera in closer and give you some details of the process. First thing you're going to have to do is to pull back this sheath at the top and expose these two silver toggles. Now, those silver toggles are attached to elastic bands, so you pull up on the underside and pass that toggle through the sheath, and there's two little slots here in your logo plate, and those are meant to hold these little toggles. So that gets them out of the way. If you end up knocking them down, don't worry, there's ways of fishing those back out again. But those are little holders. Let's go show you the next part. Now let's do a little prep work here. We'll take the cable out of its package and unwrap it and loosen it up. Not much more than that. Okay, so this is uncoiled, ready to go. And here is your fabulous bundle of wire to hook through. And the only thing you're going to do is basically take the twisty tie off and then straighten out your cable fisher. Doesn't have to be perfect or anything like that. And yeah, there it is. I like to have a little kind of, I don't know, a bend on the end, which makes it easier to grab, kind of like that. The next thing to do is to tilt the arm such that it's at about a 40, maybe a little higher than a 45-degree angle. And the reason for that is if you go all the way down here, there's a plastic cover that comes up to about here. And if your screen is like that, you're trying to push your cable fisher through that plastic cover. So by having this angle here, it's an easy path to go in and fish your cable through. So tilt your arm. So here we are looking into the Zoot arm. Yours isn't going to be this well illuminated. I got a light under there, but there's this structure in the middle here, and you don't want the cable to go through the center of that structure. You're going to want to go over here to the right and kind of aim all the way down there, right? So it kind of goes through the center and then it'll poke out the bottom. Okay, here's another view of fishing the cable through. I'm going to put a little bend on the edge of my loop here to make it easier to go around the corner. And I'm just going to feed it in and move it around. And one thing I'm going to do are these cables here. I want to get everything kind of out of the way and make sure there's nothing hanging up over here. I'm going to continue to kind of push down and through. I'm going to go here. Make sure, there it goes, there it goes. I can see it's bending the wrong way. Going to give a little other bend here on this. A little there. And there. All right, did it go through? Yeah, here it is. Now, with it through, I'm going to continue to pull it through till it's right about there and easy to work with. Okay, I'm going to take my cable, and it works best, I've found, is to come up through here such that the end of the cable is like that, and it's going to scrape on the inner side of the arm here instead of catching on stuff in the middle. Then we're going to pinch it closed. Now this one is a bonus. You're not really required to do it, but if you're worried about it catching on stuff as it's coming up there, as it's prone to do sometimes, you can just put a little tape on here. Here I'm using blue tape. It can be Scotch tape, it can be anything. It's just something that you're going to only use to guide it through so it lessens the probability of catching on things. Now I'm going to go up here at the top, going to feed this in, round the corner, slowly pull it up, and if you notice it's catching up on things or something like that, go ahead and look in here, make sure you're not dragging some wires up with you that you shouldn't. But here I can tell it's feeding well, and here it comes out the top. There we go. Give yourself some slack. And now you can take off the remaining tape, or if you didn't use tape, then you're just take the cable out. And that's the problem with tape. You got to take it off. There we are. Cable's through. Your cable puller is done. Now I'll show you on the inside how to get the cable through, out, and to your screen. Here we are at the top of the screen. Here's the cable that we just pulled through, and this is the cable guide. We have to guide this cable, guess where? Through the cable guide. So I'm gonna push that over and stick it through. Now that it's through the cable guide, see if we can give you a better view. Here you can see this area where the rotation ring is, and this is a Cintiq Pro 27. You can see again here, there's the rotation ring, and there's this standoff area, and this is a free space behind the arm. For some screens like the Cintiq Pro 24 or the older 27 QHD or Cintiq Pro 32, it's going to require that you remove the screen in order to have the freedom to reroute a cable. But in these ones, there's enough space under here that you can just move this cable through. So now I'm going to pull the cable down here. And if you're going to need more slack, it's always good to start out with more slack than you need. So I'm going to feed some more through here and really get a good amount of slack before I start trying to route this out to the screen, and then we'll take out the slack later. Now, to give you a better view of the Cintiq Pro 27, I'm passing the cable through the center of the arm here, and you can see it hopefully there. And I know that this compartment over here contains a power, and here is where the USB video input comes in. So I'm going to pass the cable coming through the rotation ring and coming over here. And I'm going to line up with the USB port there and just plug it in. Now it's just a matter of removing the slack from the cable. I'll come over here, remove the slack. I'll come over here, pull the cable there, and then I'll just kind of pull it down on this side here. And that's, I can tell it's nice and tight here. That's good. Okay. So here we are inside the arm. Now you can see this pre-existing zip tie in here. You have the option of cutting this off and using the other zip tie to replace it. I'm just opting to put another zip tie over the top of this. Now I pulled this cable through here to show you that this cable is the new cable that we've installed. And what we want to do is ensure that we're going to pull the slack out of it here and then zip tie it to this location so it doesn't bang around inside the arm and potentially get damaged while the arm is moving around. So first things first, I'm going to position the cable over here. I'm going to make sure that the slack is pulled out and that it's all ready to go. Then I'm going to take a zip tie right here. What I do is I wrap it around my finger like this, and I go around here, around this cable bundle with the new cable. Wrap it around here. Pull it through. And then give you a better view. Start the zip tie. Okay, so now we have the zip tie started. I put it around where the other zip tie is and tighten it up. Nice and tight there. And then cut off the excess. And there you go. You've now secured in the new cable. All right, now we're at the last step where we have the cable coming through. There's no slack in there, and we want to put it in the anti-toppling arms. Now, we want to take these covers off, and to do that, you want to reach under here to the short side with your fingernails and kind of pull out just a little bit till it pops up and out. Once again, this side, or grab a implement if you're afraid of doing damage to your nails to kind of pry it out a little bit. And once it pops up, so the little latches are right to the inside there. Now with that off, one thing you can do is you can cut this zip tie here, and it has an illustration of why this is here. You need an adequate amount of slack here in the cable such that when the arm pivots forward here, you see the cables get sucked inside. And when it comes back, they come back out again. And if you don't have enough slack in your cable here, it's liable to get pinched and cut. So I'm just going to mirror the loop that's already there, kind of exaggerate that, and that'll be definitely enough slack in the cable line. Then I'll take the double bubble cable cover, kind of slide it in here like this, make sure everything's all lined up over there. Kind of push this in, push over here. Everything should be kind of lining up and pop down. Same thing over here. Stick it in. This one, the bubble goes towards the end. Gonna go over here, make sure it's all lined up there, and down. So there we are. That's out, and we have the new USB-C cable installed for the Cintiq 27. Note that if the, I guess, high bandwidth cable is installed with the Cintiq 27, it's going to be shorter coming out of here. This is the cable that's good for 4K 60 hertz. This is not a 4K 10-bit 120 hertz cable. That one is a shorter cable. It's just, yeah, that's as kind of as fast as you can push a long cable like this. Okay, now I'm going to pivot this up. There we go. And the last part is to take these little toggles off and put them back through the outer holes here, and then stuff this in. Now it's ready to go.